All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're joining us from today. Welcome to this month's Db2 Tools Community Update. Before I hand you off to Andy and the team, just a couple of things to go over. First, if you have questions along the way or comments, and we always hope that you do, we want these to be interactive, please do put them in the questions box right under the GoToWebinar control panel. If for some reason we run out of time or if there's any questions that require a little more research, I'll make sure that the team gets everything they need to respond to you later this week. We also are recording today's session. Replay will be available sometime either later today or tomorrow morning out in the Db2 Tools community, so look for it there. And the last thing from me is that we want to make sure these are valuable for you. So with that in mind, I pulled together a quick survey that'll pop up at the end of the webcast. If you could stick around and give us some feedback, I know everyone on this call would really appreciate it. That's it for me. Take it away, Andy.
Thanks, Len. Happy 2022, everyone. Hope everybody's new year is going better than last year. It's always a hope that everything's always improving. And welcome to our February community update. Quick disclaimer, just in case we do talk about any futures and development, we do, as a company, have the right to make changes to any plans or inferred development that may happen. So keep that in mind. I'm Andrew Badgley. I'm the lead product owner for the Db2 Tools product space, and this job would not be possible without the help of Jakob and Rob and Srini. So please reach out to any of us. We do have our specific product areas that we have our focus in, and if you reach out to one of us, they can't handle the answer, they will reach out to one of us that does. So just pick your favorite and send us an email. Today's agenda, we are going to cover some new enhancements that have been delivered for SysView for DB2, Detector, Plan Analyzer, and RC Query. I won't go into specific details at this time. You'll hear about those as we get to each product area. And with that, we do always like having feedback. So if at any point during this call, you do have some feedback, whether it be a question or just a point of opinion on your part, please do use the questions box. We will be pausing intermittently throughout this presentation to listen to those and get your feedback. So please just make use of the question box. Raba, you set?
Yep. So hi everyone, my name is Raba Bigar. I'm the product owner for SysView for DB2. And today I'll be speaking about a new enhancement we added for the exception system by introducing exception names. Next slide, please. So we got the feedback from customers that identifying the exception that the DBA would like to update is not straightforward. They need to rely on visual cues. So we try to address that by introducing exception names to SysView for DB2 exception definitions. Every exception gets a name to simplify its identification and maintenance. These names can be unique by using an alternate index on the exception file. And the use case basically that we are trying to address is that as a DBA, I would like to have an exception name for the exception definitions, so I am able to easily identify the ones I need to work on and update. During the startup process, once the PTF is installed, the data collector will upgrade the exception files and assign unique exception names to every existing exception definitions. The names are going to be sequentials, but the users will be able to edit and update them later on as they see fit. After the exception file upgrade is done, we recommend at Broadcom that you create an alternate index to make these names unique. This can be done using the new JCL sample available to you. And that's pretty much it as an overview. As you can see here in the screenshot, those are the exception names that are SS1 through 10. They are sequentials here, and they can be changed by the users as they see fit. In the next slide, you can see the updated reports that we have updated, 2 batch reports. The detail report where you see the exception name on the top right over there, as well as the online report where you can see that there are multiple occurrences of the exception names. This will be also visible in the ISPF panels, as we have updated multiple of them to include the exception names. Next slide, please. In here, you see that, for example, the list of subsystem exception definitions, the list of database exception definition, as well as the list for application exception definitions have been updated. The unique names, or the exception names as we call them here, they can be unique if you install if you use the alternate index. So for subsystem exceptions, they start with SS to indicate that. For database exceptions, they start with DB, they start with AP for application exceptions, and so on. To make it easy, we know that this exception name also need to be editable, and that's why we have updated the following panels in the next slides as well, which is the view and update exception definitions and exception identification data. The exception names are visible in browse or edit mode, and you can edit them in here. And then we have also added the exception names variables to the different reports that we have. So the screenshots you see here are for the new variable introduced to the exception reporting in IFKit 1042. So you can see in the red rectangle on the left the exception name, and on the right is the output example from the documentations, the Swagger documentation that's available. What message you get back when you execute a REST API call, so you can see the exception name being returned. The next slide showcase the ops and MVS reporting that were updated as well. So when an exceptional alert within CCP for Db2 is triggered based on the defined threshold that have been set up, you can use the ops MVS generic event API to send an event notification that will include the exception names to make it easier to identify it, for example. So you can see here how that was added, the variable API.except name, and on the right side you see the exception name as being sent in the report. We have also updated the SMP reporting. So we added a variable to the SMP trap to include the exception name as well. And we did the same for the email notifications, as you can see in the next slide. In here, the new except name variable can be used in the email system. The default plain email and email HTML templates both include the name. Examples of the plain email is on the right side, whereas on the HTML template is on the left, or actually I think I have got my left and right wrong here, but you get the point. So the exception name is returned through all the different reports. The aim here is to make it easier to identify the exception that have triggered this request. This is a summary of what I have said so far. I'm not going to go through it. So if you have any feedback, though, please reach out or ask your question right now. This is available as LU 04287 PTF. Again, please install the PTF. Once the data collector is started, exception names are going to be assigned automatically, and then you can edit these exceptions as you see fit or to make more sense in your organization. We do recommend, though, that you use an alternate index so they are unique, and so that you can leverage this enhancement as we add more capabilities to it in the future. That's all from me. Any questions?
I don't see any questions at this point, Rabah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Andy?
Rabah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I'm looking forward to hearing about the feedback we get from customers and start using this. Okay, staying in the performance area, moving over to detector. First, I'd like to start with talking about some changes we made to the collection externalization process. We have moved that collection process over to the zip processors. So Detector now uses the zip processor to externalize collected standard activity data that goes into the data store when zip processors are available. Use of the zip processors, for the CPU intensive processing can improve performance and reduce costs on your general processors. This change is automatic. You don't have to take any actions. You don't need to turn on any detector parm-lib parameters. All you have to do is restart your collection once you apply the PTF, and we will automatically attempt to start using zip processors. If zip processors aren't available when the offload starts, then we will use the general processors as we do today. So hopefully this will be a benefit to you in your detector use. Everyone is looking for ways to reduce their costs. Sticking with detector, we also have made a change to our report and unload metrics processing and how it's externalized. So currently, when you externalize your data sharing metrics, those metrics are aggregated at the data sharing level. You don't get an individual SSID level report when you're specifying a data sharing group. And customers have asked, for the ability to be able to do the report and the unload at the SSID level without having the aggregation and without having to have separate PDT batch jobs for each data sharing member. So now we've added a new PDT batch parameter called DSG member. Values are yes or no, that will control whether or not the aggregation happens as part of the output. No is the default, which means that by default, the behavior will be the way it is today. We aren't introducing a change in the behavior of the reports. But if you do add this and set by, you will see the behavior change. Using a single PDT batch job to generate the metrics saves time and system resources, and also provides you flexibility so that when you add in a new data sharing member to the group, it automatically shows up in these reports instead of having to add in a new PDT batch job for that specific SSID. An example of what your reports look like. So here's an example of the report, with the member no, DSG member no set, which is default. And then the report you see in the upper left-hand corner, it specifies the group that this report is generated for. And with DSG member yes, your report, it's the same job, just with this DSG member, you end up getting individual reports for the separate SSIDs, all within the same output. And similarly, from an unload perspective, when you unload DSG member no, if you have a metric that appears on more than one of your subsystems in the data sharing group, you will end up getting asterisks because this indicates an aggregated metric that's been extracted. And so you get asterisks currently with member no. If you change to member yes, you'll no longer get asterisks because you'll no longer do the aggregation. You'll see individual metrics for each of your SSIDs. And one thing I should note, this was actually a community idea. So this finishes half of what the community idea was for. The other half of the community idea was to have similar behavior for a subsystem analyzer batch job. So that will be a future effort we do to finish out that community idea. But we've got detector done, and so you can look forward to the subsystem analyzer in the future. And moving over to plan analyzer. Len, before I move on, are there any questions yet?
There are not.
Okay, moving on, plan analyzer and the support we've added for Db2 REST service packages. So REST service package support for the bind services, now using plan analyzer, you can create REST API packages, you can copy them from other systems and rebind them and free them. We've added a new primary command, add REST, to create a REST service package. The primary commands that already exist in Plan Analyzer of copy pack, Rebind Pack, and Free Pack have been upgraded to work with the REST API service packages. And a new package, utility line command BC, which stands for bind copy, copies of DBRM or REST service package locally or to another system. The package rebind parameters report has also been upgraded to work with the REST service packages, and the utility line commands listed here have all been upgraded to work with the REST service packages. So for any of you using DB2 REST service packages, you can now leverage Plan Analyzer to help you manage those. If you aren't sure how to create a REST service package, we do actually have a REST service walkthrough in our documentation that will walk you through the steps on how to use the add REST command to create a REST service. And so I encourage you to go see that walkthrough in our documentation in full. I know I just asked you, Len, but in the last 30 seconds, have any other questions come in?
No, sir.
Okay. If anybody has any, just because we're moving on to Srini, please put the questions in the question box, and we'll definitely come back to them. Srini, you ready?
Yes, Andy. Well, thank you. Hi guys, my name is Srinivas Adupa, and I am the product owner for Db2 Admin suite of products. And then today I just came to talk about a couple of enhancements that we have made on RC query. And the first one is generating the create or replace procedure statement from RC query, right? So the problem statement currently is that RC query does not generate the DDL of procedures that are either created with create or replace or any sort of extra clauses. For example, the specific clause that's been added as part of DB2, right? When the create procedure statement is being enhanced. So RC query does not have the support for both of those two areas, till then, right? Then, multiple customers have already shown the interest in having this functionality within RC query. So we have enhanced query by making the changes like, the first one, the create or replace statement, create or replace procedure statement is going to be generated through RC query if that procedure is being created with that particular statement. And then second thing, additional clauses. For example, specific, one of the new clause that's been added for a create or replace procedure statement, that support is also being provided from RC query. And then some of the other formatting improvements are also has been enhanced within RC query. So if we go to the next screenshot, could we just get on to the next page, please? Yeah. So if you observe, right, within this, this is one of the small screenshot that's been, given to you from RC query, right? So the first line itself that you can easily understand that the create or replace procedure statement is being generated for one of the stored procedure. And then the other lines are being excluded intentionally just to show you that the entire information is available or shown to you in one screen itself. So just before the other excluded lines, you can observe the specific clause also that's been generated along with this create or replace procedure. And then finally, right, the formatting SQL, the SQL which has been formatted for the use case perspective. So if you observe that the base statement, the base insert statement that's been provided to the product is not like that. But then the formatting improvements are being made just to make sure that all the insert statements, all the selects or from or where, wherever we do have a kind of reserved words, we are just trying to bring them down to the next line so that the visibility or understandability will be much better. That's another suggestion that we have received from multiple customers, so we have implemented that too. I am done with this, and this is the PDF number. If you can, just please do let me know if you want anything else, or I'll be glad to go through this by screen sharing as well if anyone is interested later on. Any questions on this?
No questions yet.
Thank you. So the second one is listing accelerator only tables in RC query, right? So far, okay. So far, RC query still generates AOTs, but only in TAC report. At the same time, it does not have any sort of differentiation stating that, okay, this is the table that's being created as AOT, or this is the table that's being created, just in IDAA, but not as AOT, something like that. So we have got multiple requests again on making sure that, okay, this is the table, making sure that the table that's being created as AOT or not also. So we have made changes to RC query by including a new field or a kind of column in TAC report, just to show that, okay, whether that particular table is accelerator only table or not. So technically that will usually have two values, if either yes or no kind of things. So if that table is AOT or accelerator only table, then it will be having the value as yes, and otherwise it will have the value as no. And at the same time, we have also enhanced multiple reports, RC query reports. Totally 16 reports are being enhanced, just to make sure that we are going to list all the AOT tables as well in other reports. So I just tried to give you some of the other screenshots, but then in total we have enhanced 16 reports for RC query, just by showing the accelerator AOT tables, accelerator only tables also in RC query reports. Could we just go down to the next page, please? Yeah, so these are a couple of screenshots, one for AC, TAC, and another for TL report. If you observe the, the fourth column as AOT, that has no, and yes. So that just meant to say that the third table is AOT, and before two tables are non-AOTs. And then in the second screenshot, I'm just trying to open the same table in table list report, and then you can observe, even that table is also listed as, within TL report. Next page, please. And this is the table detail report. You can observe the field name as table type. That's also been enhanced to show you that, okay, this is AOT table. So something like that. We have totally 16 reports in total that are being enhanced. So we just try to give you wherever is applicable. We have implemented the logic as just by including the table type, as well in all of these 16 reports. Next page, please. So this is the PDF number for listing of AOTs in all of those RC query reports. Any questions, please?
No questions.
Yeah, thank you. And again, as I told you, if anyone is interested in having a kind of screen sharing kind of things, I will be really glad to show you that too. Thank you.
Thanks, Srini.
Thank you.
So that wraps up what we have to show you today and the things we've added to our products since our last call in December. Our currently scheduled next call is going to be next month on March 14th, and we look forward to you joining us then. If you happen to miss our call in December, here's a link to the replay for that. This presentation will be available in PDF form when the replay is published, and you'll be able to download it and get access to links there. As always, we are looking for people to join our validation project. Currently, we do have validation software downloads for our Zoe CLI project, as well as our MRI for Db2 executive report. And so we do have downloadable packages for that you can run and test in your system if you'd like get previews of those and share your thoughts. We've also made some new educational offerings. Our detector education class was rather long. I think it topped it over an hour and a half, I think, in total length. And so we have actually split that into 5 separate learning modules at a much more consumable size. We've also released a detector for DB2 for ZOS badge certification that is also available for you if you are interested in taking that badge and earning that badge. With that, thank you everyone for joining us on this February 2022, and I sincerely hope you have a great week and a great month. Talk to you next month.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.